Is There More is the podcast where creators share how their darkest moments became the breakthroughs that changed everything. We're building a space for raw stories, deep connection, and real hope for everyone who's still writing their story. Brought to you by Dialogue Life Skills, the world's scalable solution to the teen and young adult mental health crisis. I'm your host, Megan A Tully, and I'm listening. Before today's guest began directing films, he spent over a decade helping some of the biggest brands and most acclaimed directors in the industry bring their visions to life. Joseph Marconi built his career as an art director at BBDO and Showtime, and later designed treatments for filmmakers that I can't really pronounce their names, but on brand campaigns like Nike, Toyota, and Ford, just to name a few. And now he's brought that visual storytelling experience to his debut feature film, Baby Love. In this episode, we talk about Joe's journey through addiction and recovery, how he took 7 years to build this incredible film, and why surrendering can sometimes be the bravest form of strength. Welcome, Joseph Marconi. I really want to dive into the making of Wild Animal that you did first, Wild Animal, the short film, and then how you transitioned that to Baby Love as like a starting point, because I feel like there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, there is. Well, I mean, so where should I start? I mean, that's just like,
so
it's, 8 years of my life, you know?
Yeah, it was a long time. So yeah, I mean, one of the things I want to ask is like, how did you get through those 8 years? I know there were so many ups and downs, but just to start, Wild Animal was a short film that you created in 2020, right?
Yeah, I started writing it in 2018, actually. And I had the feature script written before the short, you know.
Whoa.
And so we were meeting with like producers and production companies and stuff, and we weren't getting very far. I mean, people were reacting to the script pretty well, but you know, I was an untested feature director, so
right. This
people
was your
were
first feature film, right?
Right. So I just kept getting the feedback to make a proof of concept, and I was like, you know, I did not want to do that because I'd made so much before that, and I was like, I don't really want to do that. But so you know, 2020 was obviously the pandemic, and I had thought at the time that we could kind of like slip in a feature, you know, like a small feature, because nobody was working and everybody wanted to work, and you know, but I couldn't get that done. But I was able to raise 10,000, you know, basically from a friend, and so that allowed us to go up to Montana and shoot Wild Animal, which was the original name for the film. I mean, fuck, dude, like everything, there's so many stories within like and it's like, you know, to start off with like your bigger question of like, how did I get through it? I'm going to kind of come back to just like, you know, the necessity of it all kind of thing. You know, it wasn't,
because COVID was a dark time, right? Like, did you struggle during COVID?
I had a 1-year-old in COVID. Izzy was born in 2019. She turned 1 during the lockdown. It was April 2020, right? Mm-hmm. And she turns 1. And I remember we had her first birthday over Zoom. Like, it was crazy, you know? And yeah, it was crazy. And so like, I had a 1-year-old, and here I am like trying to make a movie. Those 4 years from like 2020 to 2020, I would say like halfway through last year, you know, is like, that was like, I don't know, it wasn't like a dark time, but it was really like, really in the throes of what is feature filmmaking, how do people get through this, what's the process, you know, like I didn't know anything, you know, and so it was just like moment to moment, just learning, like learning how to have meetings, learning how to pitch the film, learning how to deal with rewrites after rewrites after rewrites, learning how to deal with hearing no, like just over and over and over and over and over. Like the amount of times I've heard no is like, I used to print out the emails, but there's just like too many now. Like, wow. You know, just like from all the to as motivation, you know, just like anger motivation, like I'm gonna keep doing this, like fuck you, anger like motivation. Turn the other cheek kind of thing. Wow. Yeah, it's just like, I mean, like I'm a super competitive person, even though I might not like, you know, present myself that way. Like I seethe in competition, like all day long. So, I remember a friend of mine sent one of my, like, I was writing something for him and I sent him like a vomit draft, which is basically like just notes, just like, here's like a rough outline of things that I'm thinking, and I sent it to him, so I was like, hey, this is just a vibe check, man. What do you think of this? And he sent it to, a director who's made a couple films with some big people, and he sent back like an 11-page tirade, like on how much he hated what I wrote. And I'll look up that email every now and then as like that anger motivation of just like, fuck this guy.
Wow.
Like,
Do you know where you picked that up? Anger motivation? Like, when was the first time you ever noticed you did that?
I don't gosh, I don't know. I mean, I mean, I don't know, man. It's kind of always been there. I think I've just learned to use it more and like not sit in it, because like everything is very dynamic. Like sometimes, you learn through those experiences. Like I read what he wrote and he wasn't wrong per se. It wasn't ready to share, but it's kind of like this. Like, I guess as an artist, and, agree or disagree, I guess as an artist, any sort of creative person who's putting stuff out into the world, you have to in my opinion, you have to kind of make peace with the fact that you're leaving yourself open to attack, and that like part of putting yourself out there, and it is like singular to the creative, pursuit. There aren't, there's criticism in everything, right? But like a normal person goes to work and the job is either good or bad, but it's the job, right? It's like not something that you've spent sometimes years putting out. So when I get feedback that is negative, everybody wants positive feedback and that's great, but especially when I'm writing something, like I want different people to read it. Sometimes people that I know aren't even going to like it, so I can, same thing with like watching the film. It's like, watching the edits of it, so, because it puts me up against the ropes, right? And so that's when I have to start fighting, and they say like with writing, like kill your darlings. I hope I'm making sense with this. Like it all sort of comes down to like, am I going to defend it or not? And if you come back with a strike and I'm like, and I get hit with that, then I have to look at, okay, like how was I standing here? Like I just got whacked in the face and like I shouldn't have. Well, that's because I was doing something silly. So let me get rid of that and let me make it better. Or I'm just going to get stronger because this is the right way, And so that's sort of how I learn to focus in on what I'm doing, is like based on how willing I am to defend something. Does that make sense?
Hey, what's up, you guys? If you're new here, hi, I'm your host, Megan A Tully. I'm an actor and filmmaker from St. Louis, Missouri, turned content creator, and I hope you're enjoying the show so far. So if you are, please give it a like, please subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment about what you love most about Joe Marconi so far. He is an amazing person who has an incredible story when it comes from turning his pain into purpose, and I just can't wait to unpack the rest of it with you. So let's get back to the show. Well, let me see if I got that. So you like getting all kinds of feedback from different people because you kind of want to test yourself and see how well you can stand your ground on your own words or
Right.
pictures or whatever. And so if a punch knocks you down, you ask yourself, okay, well, why did I just get knocked down? Oh, it probably wasn't good enough, or I need to pivot and do it a little bit differently. And it just helps you see like where you weren't solid in your own artistry. Did I get that?
Right. Yeah. I would say that's right on.
Is there more to that?
Is there more?
See, I just like snuck that in there.
I saw what you did. Yeah, I mean, I think that, for me, like, I want to start seeing Nike commercials for artists. Because like fitness, like working for the goal, working for the medal, working for the score is like very easy, because at the end of the game or whatever, the scoreboard says this, and you either won or you did not, you know. But it's a lot more ephemeral, you know, with being a creative person. You know, you could make the Odyssey and you're still going to have people that shit all over it, you know. And
I had somebody tell me, I won't name the name, but I had somebody tell me
don't
that
name the name.
Christopher Nolan does not know how to cover a scene for the life of him. You didn't hear it
Yeah,
here. I
I
didn't see
mean,
the movie yet, but
people say,
yes.
I haven't seen it yet either, but I know I'm going to love it, you know. But you know, that's besides the point. It's like the relationship that I've built with my creativity is much more like training for a heavyweight fight than it is just like, I'm feel inspired and I'm going to sit down and I'm going to do some writing. It's like, it literally feels like those commercials when the athlete gets up at like dawn and is like can barely stand up and like drinks 4 eggs and like goes for a run. And it's like, that's what it's like, because that's in my opinion what it takes, you know. And it's not easy and it's hard, and the world will not let you ahead at all. Like, no one's going to say yes. No one's going to roll out the red carpet for you. Even the red carpet doesn't matter, because the red carpet doesn't feel like the red carpet. It's like, you know, you have to have like a higher purpose for what you're doing, and you have to be completely dedicated to that.
What is your higher purpose?
Yeah, I mean, it gets real spiritual, you know. Like, I do believe that, you know, creative people have a direct line to something much greater, you know. And, you know, if you're endowed or blessed with that, you know, it's kind of your responsibility to put that into the world however you can. It doesn't necessarily need to be a feature film. If it's, you know, pottery, you know, for your kids, like whatever form that takes, you know. It's like, because you don't know, you know, we're all interpreting sort of the same signals, but we're all interpreting them differently. Like, one of my favorite podcasts, I don't know if you've ever heard this, is called The Rest is Science. And it's with these two like scientists, Hannah Fry and Michael Stevens. And they were talking about color, like how people see color and how people see color very, very differently. And they showed a couple examples. One is of this dress. I think it went viral. Some woman was getting married in like Canada or something like that, and they were trying to figure out what bridesmaids dresses they wanted to wear. And so one of her bridesmaids took a photo of this dress and sent it to everybody, and everyone started texting back like that. Someone saw the dress as blue and white, and other people saw the dress as gold and black, you know, and it was the same dress. And they put a photo of it on the screen, and I'm like laying next to my wife watching it, and we saw it differently.
Wow.
Like right there. And it's just one of those things where you realize like, wow, we're all just like really interpreting the same stuff, but just so differently, you know. And if you do have that kind of calling to interpret stuff, then you have to do it. You should do it. I hope you would do it, you know. Where it gets murky is like how it's received, you know, because once it kind of like it gets in you, you do what you can, you let it out into the world, and then like what people do with it and how they receive it, that's the stuff you can't control. And that's kind of the hardest part of it. It's just like letting go of it and realizing, like, all right, this is, I birthed this into the world, and now it's the world's. It's no longer mine. I did my part.
You said you have like a diligent creative practice, and it's like training for the Olympics or something, like the way you're
I said a
describing.
heavyweight bout, I think.
Okay, a heavyweight. So
Yeah.
what gave you that determination to be so like serious about your creativity? Where did that come from, and why?
Oh gosh. You know, a lot of it is necessity. A lot of it is just, you know, petulance. Like, you know, I grew up in a small town in the Hudson Valley, New York. And, you know, especially with like in that town and with my family of origin, you know, like even to this day, it's like you know, creativity is not understood or appreciated, which is like a wild thing for me, because like every single thing around you was designed by someone creative. Everything. There's nothing around you at this very moment that someone didn't put years of their life into. And we just like kind of take it for granted, and I'm like, why is that? Like why like it doesn't make sense to me that it's just sort of shrugged off. I don't know if you saw this film Whiplash, but there's like a dinner scene there where they're talking about jazz and how it's all subjective. I'm like, everybody needs to watch that scene. It's like so well done. He's like, it's all subjective, right? And he's like, no.
And Andy, with your drumming.
It's going okay, Andy?
Yeah, I mean, it's going really, really well, actually. I'm part of Schaefer's top jazz orchestra, which means it's the best in the country. And I'm a core member, so I'll start playing in competitions. And actually, I found out I'm the youngest person in the entire band.
Well, how do you know when's in a music competition? Isn't it subjective?
No.
It's not. Picasso, fucking Da Vinci, all these guys, Bacon, like, they didn't just like wake up once in a while, like make a painting and like got famous for it, and they just like fucked off the rest of the time. Like every single one of these, anybody who's done anything great that you know about, there are years and years and years of failures and mistakes and just trying to get there. So the few things that you know from an artist is the 0.1%, 0.01% of like all the stuff that they have done. You know, the amount of pages and words I've forgotten 10 times the amount of stuff that I've written that I remember. Like, it is bad until it is good, and good is not the norm. Good is the exception to the rule. You know, great is, God, man. I was texting my friend the other day. I was actually on a call with my DP, David, and I was like, man, it's just so hard to be great. Like, it's so hard to be great. You know, I mean, you can be good, you know, but to reach that level of greatness is like very, very, very few people get there. Very few people get there. So, I mean, back to the question, like, where did it come from? There was definitely sort of like this childhood spite that I still have about it, where I'm just like, you know, I saw the work ethic that people put into other pursuits because that's how they thought it was deserving of that. And the lack of respect that I felt for what I was doing, like, drove me to do harder. But then again, like, a lot of it is necessity, especially when we were making the film, you know, like every time we met with a new producer or a new production company or whatever, like they wanted to see rewrites, they wanted to see this. And, you know, even making the film itself, which is its own like 10-hour story, you know, like we had, I mean, filmmaking is, have you ever made a feature film? I know you've been in a lot of stuff, but
I've only acted in one, yeah, but I've never like directed or produced one. The longest project I did was last year. It was a pilot episode. It ended up being about 40 minutes, but it was very run and gun documentary, so there wasn't a whole lot of like pre-production. So no, I've never done anything as serious as a feature film from behind the camera. No.
Okay, well, I mean, I think especially for, you know, the first time filmmaker too. I forgot who said this recently. I just saw it. It was great. Anyways, they were saying how like oftentimes on set the director is like the least experienced person.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I mean, at least in my experience, it's like that's absolutely true, because like,
Yeah, it is.
everybody else on set is working constantly. Like they know what they're doing inside and out, you know. And me, I'm the person who needs to like I had to like kind of pretend that I knew what I was doing, and I knew the material, but like learning the flow of the set, I mean, that was like, I just jumped into the fire, you know. I had to learn really quickly.
Oh, because you don't work in film. Yeah, I kind of forgot about that. Like, you've done a lot of short films, but they've been like smaller crews, is what you're saying?
It was all small. Yeah. I mean, this was even though the budget was tiny, like it was the biggest thing that I had ever done, you know. 4 weeks shooting on location, you know, 30, 40 people on set, you know, long hours, just like the whole thing that is making movies, you know. It was all a new experience for me, you know. And so I had to really get to this place of, you know, like I don't know, get into the zone or something. Like I was just like it's hard to describe, man. Like, just I had to get my mind into a place where I was just like, this is what we're doing and we're not going to stop. You know, when we went up there and we were supposed to shoot with the actress who was in the short film, but she had just had a baby 4 months earlier, and you know, so she got sick and couldn't continue with the film after that, and so we had to recast. This is like day 2 of shooting, so we had to recast on the fly, and we had an actress coming out who was going to play the friend. She ended up getting who ended up being the lead, you know, but we emailed her or whatever, we called her agent and asked if she wanted to take the lead. And you know, she was literally like getting on the plane, she reads the script on the plane again, you know, lands, and then she was like, yeah, I'll do it, you know. And so and that changed the whole thing, you know. That was like, okay, talk about pivoting. Like, here's a new actress, you know. We had this, like, you know, white sort of Montana ex-fighter wild child over here, and then
Real fighter.
we have Kiana Madeira, who's like half Portuguese, I think. Sorry, Kiana, I'm pretty sure you said Portuguese. Like half Portuguese, half white. Maybe edit this out.
Beep it out. No, she was incredible.
She was unbelievable. But like, she was a completely different actor. Like, she brought a whole new energy for the film. So I was rewriting every night, you know. So I'm shooting all day, rewriting every night, you know, to like make the film to fit her, you know. And this isn't easy stuff. This isn't child's play. This is like real stuff, you know, real stuff.
And you're dealing with real, like, producers' money. Did you bring on a producer, or how did you end up funding the feature film?
Oh God, it was just like beg, borrow, and steal. You know, we raised money, we got a grant, you know, we did Indiegogo thing. So we had a combination of donations, grant money, and investments to it. Cool. You know, but it was,
and I'm
it was
sure
beg,
that
borrow,
wasn't
steal.
easy either.
That was again, it's all impossible. All of it was impossible. You know, I have such a great respect for anybody who's ever done anything, like small or huge. Like, it doesn't matter the size of it, it just matters. Like, you're doing this podcast, right? Like, you made this from nothing and you've stuck with it consistently, you know, and that can't be understated or overstated enough. Like, that it's not easy to continue to do something. It's not easy to figure this out. Like, did you know how to make a podcast when you first started? Did you know, like, okay, I did the first few. Do I really want to continue? Do I wake up every day wanting to do this? I didn't want to do this today. You know?
Well, like, like a lot. There's been times where that's why I kind of made the podcast about creators and inspiring people overcoming things like obstacles and getting to their goal. So I try to interview people who have turned their pain into purpose, but also have like completed something, because I'm trying to complete something. And
you are.
Well, this podcast was born because of a sister feature film, also called Is There More? It's a documentary film about relationships and mental health. And I started the podcast because I was like, there's, like, you know, just imposter syndrome. Like, how am I, like, good enough to do that? There's so many different things that go through my head when I'm doing a project from a more creative, visionary standpoint, that I literally started this podcast out of kind of what you said, necessity, to just kind of like get out of my own head and continue to do the documentary.
Yeah, no, it's none of this is easy. You know, what's easy is to stay in the dugout, you know, stay in the batter's box. Like, that's easy to like come up with the ideas and write the scripts and whatever, like, and then sort of wait, you know, and then be mad at the world with, you know, like, oh, my script didn't get, you know, and it's like, all right, you know,
nobody's coming to save you.
Nobody's coming. Like, nobody cares. Like, do you know how many amazing scripts and amazing filmmakers and amazing, like, you know, I'm lucky enough to work in an industry where I get to work with some of the best directors on the planet, you know, and I'm humbled, not gracefully, I'm humbled so often, where I'm just like, fuck, these guys are good, man. Like, these guys are good. Like, they have earned their seat at the table. My kid and my wife and I, we like to watch Harry Potter. And I mean, like, it's no secret that those are great stories and great movies, but like, I watch it now with such a much more refined kind of like filmmaker's, you know, eye. I'm just like, man, this is so good. Like the filmmaking is so good. It's so good. Like, you know, the one of the films that stood out, like even when they were making it, was the one where Alfonso Cuarón came on and made the third one, The Prisoner of Azkaban, and like you could just see his
That was my
like
favorite one.
auteur brushstrokes on that. Like that's
Yeah.
when like all the like every little detail was so much more refined in that film. You know, like. Anyways, it's again, that kind of goes back to just like it's so hard to be great. Like it takes so much, this crazy confluence and trust and faith and boldness and courage, and you know there's just uh, an unknown infinite mixture of things that have to kind of come together for that to moment to arise, you know.
Yeah. And I mean, it's really cool that you're surrounded by greatness, because I think from my past like 3 years, I'd say I've kind of learned that you also have to be willing to like, let go. And I don't mean like cut people off, but like let go of the version
Yeah.
of yourself who would have done that, who would have been binge drinking all night, or who would have, and that comes with letting go of people too. And surrounding yourself with more and more greatness as you're able to kind of like match a certain type of level. So I think like being surrounded by greatness is like it's probably half the battle.
Yeah, I think it's more than half the battle, you know? I mean, it's like the 4 minute mile kind of thing, you know, where like nobody
Yeah.
thought that, you know, and then once the first guy did it, then everybody else did it, you know, and it was like, oh, it's possible. Like this was possible to do this, you know? There's something that's a very, you know, otherworldly that happens when you see something, when you're around that energy, you know? I mean, man, I want to quit writing and just quit being a creative like every day. I'm just like, I'm done with this. I don't want to do this anymore. This is too hard, you know?
No.
And then I saw like I'll go to the movies and I'll see I forget what it was, the last thing I saw in the film in the movies, but like at the actual theater. Oh, it was it was a 70 millimeter screening of Lawrence of Arabia. I went with my DP
Wow.
David, and
That's cool.
I remember when I sat down and I'm watching this film and I was like, son of a fucking bitch, man. Here it is. Like now I got it. Like I came back and like that voice is like, go home and write. You know, it's like so loud. I was like, son of a bitch. I was ready to be done with this. And now I have to see this film and now I have to get all juiced up to go make something again. Like, give me a break. I don't want to do it, you know? But again, it kind of comes back to that, like being called to do something.
Yeah, I can resonate with that, because there was a period of time where I like stopped going to the movies altogether. I forget what movie it was, but the first movie I saw like a year and a half ago back in theaters after like a seriously like 2 year period was a fighting movie, and it was like a guy who went over the top fighting and like took it too far and like killed someone, and it was an indie film, and it actually kind of reminded me of your film and one other girls fighting film that came out around that time. It was like two girls fighting and one turned into a giant. Do you know what I'm talking about? It was on Netflix.
Oh, yeah. Love Lies Bleeding. Yeah, that movie was great. That's
yeah,
so
I saw
good.
that one right after. But yeah, something about going to the theater and seeing like a really good movie always re-inspires me. And then same exact thing. I get pissed off and I'm like, why did I ever... I wouldn't say I quit, but I definitely took a really big step back from like the industry and just sort of pivoted to more of the creator space. And I'm like, oh my God, I miss it. But everything is very different now. And I definitely am moving into more of like the owning my IP kind of situation, because it's just not the same world, and it's not the same long-term game either. So I'm kind of grateful for where I'm at, but I resonate with that. Every time I go to the movies, I'm like, man, this is so great. The last movie I saw was The Invite.
So good.
Have you
I haven't seen that yet. I've got to see that. It
was a great character. Like, I mean, it was just pure acting because they were in one location the whole time. So it was like just great acting and directing too. It's really good. Recommend. But going back to your story, what really got you into filmmaking in the first place? Like, why did you become so passionate about specifically filmmaking from your fine arts background?
Well, originally I was going to school for film. Like that's what I originally did, and then mentally I wasn't there as like 18, 19, 20 year old. Like I wasn't in a space. I hadn't matured enough to take anything in my life serious, you know. It took me a long time, long time to kind of step into a space of maturity and start taking things seriously, you know. So there was a period in my 20s, like pretty much up until I was 29, where I was working in, was in the ad industry for a while. You know, I was an art director at like BBDO and Showtime, and I was just straight like, you know, office kind of job, which like that's kind of like it informs all my writing now, which is a whole other thing. But like around 2008, 2009, I stepped away from that. I was like a nightlife photographer for a little bit in New York City, and then it was right at the time where there's this camera called the Canon Mark D2, and it was like the first like stills camera that could record video, like cinematic quality video.
I remember.
And everybody started making movies like overnight, you know, with that thing. And when I started doing that and I was filming with it, it was just like something clicked. It was like, this is what I need to be doing. It was that, and then it was like a few movies. One particular by this, The New World by Terrence Malick. It's like the kind of a very poetic retelling of the story of Pocahontas. And so I remember when I saw that movie, it was, you know, it didn't obey like any of the rules of cinema. It was its own thing. And Malick is he has a philosophical background. He was a teacher and he studied under Heidegger, you know, and so his whole thing was like, you know, he's coming at it with a philosopher's eye, you know. It's very, very educated, you know, and so he's not, you know, I think it was different with Badlands, which was his first film, which very much feels like a film, you know, versus Days of Heaven, which was his next one, then The Thin Red Line, and then I think it was The New World after Thin Red Line, you know, which he's like, I don't need to, like, I'm going after something different, you know. But when I saw that, I was like, oh, I understood it. Like, I understood what I was seeing very intimately. If for whatever reason, it just sort of gave me permission to try, you know, like seeing that film gave me permission and like confidence to like, oh, I think I could do this, you know? And so it was just this thing, like, I think like another way to put it is that it kind of goes back to like being on the ropes and like, you know, are you willing to defend it or not? You know, because, you know, you said at the beginning, like I'm always trying things and I'll try something and maybe it'll work out, maybe it won't. And I'll know, like if it's not working out or if someone shits on it and I don't really care, like then I just, all right, you know, I don't care. I didn't like it that much anyways. I thought maybe it was a good idea. I had a moment where like, yeah, we're going to sell hot dogs in coffee cups and it'll be fucking amazing. And like, nobody cares. Like, all right,
how do you have that level of detachment for your work? I feel like that's not common. It's not that common. Or maybe it's just from your experience.
It's just from doing so much, you know, like you just do it, you try, you do it, you try, you do it, you try. And like, and at this point, it's just become like the norm where, you know, like I'm writing something right now called Cannibals.
Is that what you
I sent you an early draft, like an early version. It's much different now. I could send you some pages after this, but it's much different now.
Okay. It was cool. It's really cool. I like it so far.
It was it's not in the creator home anymore. Like I dropped all that, you know.
That'd be cool to see, where it's at.
Yeah. But like so that version, for example, I couldn't crack, you know, like I couldn't make it work. I was really trying to, oh no, it was called Imposters back then. That's what it was called.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was called Imposters back then. And so I couldn't crack this. I was writing for like a year. I couldn't figure it out. And then, one day, not too long ago, like 2-3 months ago, I was going for a walk and I heard this song and like the entire film like came in my head in like a second. I was like, I just knew it. And so I walked around and recorded a voice note, an hour-long voice note, just writing the film, you know, and then I had the film, you know, and so now, I mean, obviously like I have to do the work and you know, now it's like the architecture, that's sort of the underpainting. Now it's like all like the building the building on, that's going to make it work as a script. But like, you know, you hear it said often, it's a Rick Rubin kind of thing. But it is very true, is that like, again, as a creative, like your goal can't be the finished product, because in my experience, at least, and I would bet a huge bet that it's in most people's experience, that like the satisfaction and accomplishment you think you're going to feel like once you finish something isn't really there. Like there might be a moment, but it whatever is in your head is like not what it feels like. Like we're honing in on a distribution deal with something, but this whole process has been so heartbreaking. Like it's been eye-opening, it's been teaching, it's been humbling, it's been exciting, but like the great moments of making this film over the past 8 years are few and far between, like of all like those training moments. Again, I mean, it's like, you like anytime you see a boxer walk into a ring, I'm going to keep using this analogy, like that's the result of years of training, and then, a 6-week camp to get like perfect, like they dial in everything. They're like every pound, every ounce of body fat, like they've dialed it in, for that night. And if they lose, that is that like they get 10 minutes in a ring, to prove themselves, for months and years of their life. It's kind of the same thing with a film, where it's like you put this thing on, then you get an hour and a half to like wow people or not, and it's like
when you put it like that, that's pretty crazy. Like 8 years,
yeah,
and 2.5 hours. Oh my god.
Yeah, and like if people don't like it, you're like, all right, well, I guess what am I going to take away from that? So, and I've taken away so much, but now it's just like, man, I want to have fun. Like, I just want to have fun. And, if whatever I'm writing now, it's just like, am I enjoying this? Like, would I write this if this went nowhere? And if the answer is yes, then I can write it, because then it's like, this was super fun to write. And if you like it, great. If not, great. If it goes somewhere, great. If it doesn't, great. It's just like, at this point, I kind of have to have that level of detachment, but also, in a very real sense, like I'm a husband and I'm a dad, and I have priorities that are very real and grounding for me, and I think that has also added another level of like, what's really important, like, is it important that this movie did really well, or is it important that my daughter's going to grow up and like be a good person? Ideally, both would happen, but like there's so much in this world that you can't control. Like what I can control is I'm going to wake up and hopefully I'm going to get some pages in. Maybe they're good, maybe they're bad, maybe go somewhere, maybe it doesn't, but like I have to figure out what are those little things that I can control and focus on those.
Did you learn that lesson somewhere?
That was an AA thing. That's how I learned that. That was
the serenity prayer. What is it?
Yeah. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Yeah, I mean,
That's
sobriety
so
really
real.
had a lot to do with that. Like, they always said, like, keep your side of the street clean. Like, that's like, get sober, you quit drinking week 1. They're like, is your bed made? Are your shoes tied? Like, keep your side of the street clean. It just starts off very basic, and that compounds like as your life gets bigger, as you start putting the pieces back in place in your life, and things start working, and you're no longer just sort of scraping the gutter. And I'm in constant battle with my ego and with my addiction and with my OCD and with my ADD. I'm in constant battle, but also like, I do believe that, the stuff that can be looked at, like the same thing that makes me an addict, and the same brain chemistry that is like ADHD, like it's like, it's a superpower just as much as it is an affliction, like I couldn't do what I do if it weren't for these things, like I wouldn't have this outlook of like healthy detachment, you know, were it not for being sober for 11 years and like just doing the work over and over and over and over and having people tell me and having people cry to and having people to like, you know, rage to, and then like just being brought down to earth over and over and over and over again. And like, you know, but then also again, like in a very real way, like, you know, making the film and having it taken away from me and having things like, you know, especially when you're on set, you're working with like, you know, 30 different people, you know, you can't control that. You could try, you know, but like, you know, you could really do your best, but like, there's so much that's out of your control, you know, there's so much. And you'll see two films by the same filmmaker, and one's really good and one's not so good, and you're like, what happened? Like, why is this so good? What happened for this one? And it's like the answer is like an infinite amount of possibilities, you know, like all the elements that like came together at the right time to make this film this, that didn't come together to make that film that. It's like, it's unknown. It's quantum, and it's like superpositional, like infinite amount of things that happen, you know, like somebody wakes up in the morning and they stub their toe, and because of that they yell at the fucking PA, who then forgets to get tape for the gaffer, who then like drops a light. It's like there are so many things that happen, you know, and the best you could do is like make it, again, like it's so hard to be great, you know, like there's so, you know, I don't know, healthy detachment.
Yeah, the stars really do have to align, which is like, I think that's why we say like praying to the film gods, because we're like
Praying to the film gods.
dude,
Hell yeah.
you could really go down right now.
You gotta like kind of simultaneously be like really specific and then also like go with the flow in a way. Like when we were making Baby Love, it was like I said, I was like writing every night to like redo things for new locations, new actors, not have time, you know? And so, but it was like, okay, this is what we're doing. Like and that's not ideal. Do not do what I have done, filmmakers out there who are watching this. Like, this is not a how to make a film thing. In fact,
I mean, but what
you know,
what were you going to do? Stop the production? No.
No, there was no way I was stopping at that point. There was no way. But again, it's that mindset of like, of finding yourself in a place to accept. It's like impossible. It's an impossible thing to describe. It's like, I know exactly what I want, but I have to let anything happen and make that become what I want.
Yeah. I like to say, no for certain. Or like, say you're like trying to like manifest something. It's like you know for certain it's gonna happen, but you're totally okay if it doesn't.
Exactly.
Kind of
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess they call that the art of detachment, and you seem like you mastered it pretty well.
Oh no, not at all. No.
How much of you was in the character in Baby Love?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, you know, I didn't write it thinking that I was in the character, you know? And it wasn't only until there was this one day on set where it was just like a talking scene, you know, it's like in the middle of the film, and, you know, it was after, Kiana, or the characters, Rhiannon and Daryl, like they basically like broke up, you know, for like 3 months, and they get back together, not relationship, but like as trainer and fighter, as friends, you know, because Rhiannon just fucked everything up. She lied to him. She, you know, she just like really pushed him away, you know, because she was out of control. And then, so she starts her journey to like her own version of sobriety. Isn't from substance addiction, but it's from just like being out of control. And when they finally come back together, like 3 months later, she has this like kind of like apology, you know, discussion with him, like on his porch. And when we're shooting that scene, that was really the moment where I realized like, oh wow, this is totally about me. Like, these are my words, you know, that I've said, and I didn't realize it, you know? And yeah, I actually I like completely broke down. I had to like walk off set, and everyone was like, what's going on? I was like, it was such a visceral reaction that I had to watching that scene. It was like, just my body just broke. And then again, like seeing it come together in the edit room, I was like, whoa, this is really, really about me. And then, you know, there's a book called The Soul of Screenwriting by Keith Cunningham. And it's a dense book. It's like impossible to get all the way through, but he really, really talks about sort of like the Jungian approach to like getting into writing and really understanding that like you're writing from your own psyche, and you're working through things, and it's all in there. Like it's all in there, and you can watch stuff, especially more auteur driven stuff. You can watch stuff and really, really like feel the filmmakers, like what they're going through, like when you watch these things,
Yeah.
It's very obvious to me with certain films, so I mean, even with what I'm writing right now, it's like a neo giallo sort of like campy horror thing, just pure fun and adrenaline, but like I understand now, like this is what's happening in my head getting on the page, and I'm having fun up here, so it's gonna have fun on the page, but this is all like, and because I'm aware of it, I can write it with more specificity now. Like this person has her like OCD stuff, and this person has their masculine anxiety stuff, and like, and so, and I know that's the character. I understand that the little kernel that really drives the whole engine, of their characters. It's because it's obvious to me at this point, which makes writing them and writing the characters easy, because like they have a thing, like they have that one thing that makes them talk and walk and want and desire and hate and push away, like they have that thing, and that's what makes them alive on the page. That's real fun.
Wow. I love that it's becoming easier and you're having more fun with it now that you're aware. Because, like, I was going to ask that, like, is that kind of psyching you out? But it seems like you've really figured out
Oh
how to
no,
make
yeah,
it
it's
work in your
fun.
favor.
Well, that's how my writing works. Like everyone's got their own thing. Like I have no idea how other people get there,
Yeah.
but for me, the kind of the knowledge, like the self-awareness of like what's driving the writing, from a deeply psychological point of view, help me to understand every part of the script, because I understand what I'm getting out of the script, like psychologically, like this is what I want from this script. This is what I want to feel from this story. This is what I want the characters to feel from this story.
So when you had that moment and you watched Rhiannon and her trainer kind of have that last conversation, which by the way, I also cried at that. And you broke down and you got upset. And you said earlier that the whole process of making this film was heartbreaking because like when you get to the end, it's like, okay, but would you say it was all worth it from that moment? And how did you change from that?
The was it all worth it is it's a much bigger question than I think maybe you realize it is, because and again, I think, I'm coming to this older than a lot of people. Like I was 43. I'm 45 now. I was 43 when I made that film. Again, I had she would have been 3 years old at the time. Wait, when did we shoot it? 2024. Yeah, so she had just turned 4. I don't think I left like right after her birthday. And we had her birthday, and then I flew up to Montana like the next day. So I have a 4-year-old, and I'm coming to this in like in a very specific time in my life, where there was, and I spoke a little bit to it earlier, because we were talking about detachment and what we want out of it, and there was a large part of the film, of the drive to make the film, that was encoded with like, this is an answer to a problem. Like I want to get ahead in life. I want to earn more. I want to be more. I want to, and so that was one of the biggest wake up calls. That was one of the more sobering moments throughout this process of like, oh, this doesn't answer that question, because that question isn't for this movie to answer. Like it isn't the responsibility of this film to answer questions that I myself am the only person that can answer. They are internal questions of worth and value and reason and purpose. Like those are for me, It's not for my film. Like that wasn't the creative juice or whatever, the flow that came down and went through all of us, all the people that touched that film. You know, it wasn't to validate. That wasn't the purpose of the film, you know? So in that sense, it was very not worth it. You know,
Well,
like...
okay. Hold on. Because what I actually got from the film was that, at least the point of it to me was, yes, you spend your whole life chasing something, and then you realize, kind of what you said earlier, it's not about like being great. It's not about having money. It's not about winning the fight, really. It's not about winning or losing. It's actually just about your relationships, your health, you know, like it's really about
100%.
the people in your
That's
life.
exactly right. Mm-hmm.
And that's what I got from the movie. I thought you did that beautifully. And so it's interesting to me that you say that you didn't come to that conclusion while making it. Is that true?
Yes and no. Like, I knew it intellectually, but, you know, I had spent years in the fantasy of this film answering that question of validation for me, even though I was making a film that spoke otherwise. And I was very intentional making the film that way, you know? And so in a very deep spiritual, psychological way, the film was a huge letting go of the idea of me as a director, of like the type of this or that or whatever it is that I want. It was like, ugh. Like I remember like all of last year, I remember like I felt this big weight just lifted of like, got that out of my system now. Like, it's dead. Like, that died. Like, that part of me, that like this thing that I thought, like, once I become this thing, and then everybody's gonna see this thing, and everyone's gonna fucking like, oh my God, Joe, you're amazing. Everything you do is amazing. Blah blah blah. It's like, that's gone. And it was like, just felt so much lighter, you know. So it was kind of like, you know, like art imitating life kind of thing. Like again, like it's very psychological, all this stuff that we do, you know. It's like I think that I know what I'm talking about, but then, you know, it kind of comes back later in all these different ways.
Yeah, it's like you kind of wrote the ending that you wanted your brain to have that it didn't get to yet. So when you actually went
Right.
through the process of experiencing the thing that you wanted, and then it didn't give you the ending, then you got the ending that you wanted and that you wrote. I don't know if that makes sense.
Basically.
But that's wow.
But the other half of that is, right, and this is why it's such a big question, is that the film tested my mettle. It tested my fucking mettle. You know, like, I didn't know what I was capable of, and now I do. You know, because I went out there and I did the impossible. I had my hero's journey. I went out to the forest and I slayed the fucking dragon, and I came back home and I lived to tell the story, you know, and I got to work with amazing people, and I got to make an amazing film that people do love and enjoy. And I know that I can do it now. And now that I have the confidence, should God give me the chance to ever direct a film again, I know that I fucking do it. I can do it. And I don't have to have that fear now of like, can I do this? But it's like, no, I know I can do this. There's going to be problems. It's going to be scary as shit, you know, and people are going to fight, and I'm going to get angry, and I'm probably going to cry, and I'm going to eat too much. I'm going to gain a bunch of weight. It's going to be awesome, you know, but like, I know that I can do it, you know? And so that part of it, you know, like, do you understand the difference? Like what I'm saying? Like, I'm just trying to separate two things. You asked, like, was it worth it? And there was a side that was like very like this separation from this ego, but then also like learning the value, the inherent value that I have of like what I'm capable of and what I can do as a person and a creative.
Yes, I understand completely. Well, let me see if I got that. So going through the experience of making your first feature film, it was kind of twofold for you. Number one, it was heartbreaking coming to the realization that you didn't have the peak moment that your brain thought it was going to be, like, oh yeah, I've made it all to this fantasy level.
Right. Welcome to the party, Joe. There,
but at the same time, it was totally worth it because it showed you how much you're capable of and how much you can do, and now you know you can do it again and do it even better. maybe better. Maybe
Hundred,
not.
a hundred. Yeah, no, I mean,
Did I get
well,
that?
yeah. I mean, your goal, yeah, your goal is always to do it better. And like, I also love working on set. I love collaborating with people. It's like, it's my favorite thing to watch super talented people do great things, you know, and however I can help them to do great things. Like, it's just, I mean, like when you're sitting there and you're like, I wrote these fucking lines and this guy with this amazing camera and this amazing crew is shooting it and looks fucking amazing. And then this person's writing the music to it and this person's editing it and this person's like delivering the lunch and giving me with like all this stuff that's happening. It's like, it's like, I that's an indescribable feeling, you
Yeah.
know, of how like it's humbling. It's electrifying, you know. I mean, it's my favorite place to be. Like, and I don't get enough of that in my day to day. I do not get enough of like, you know, let's work on something together. Let's figure this out. You know, I wish that I did. Every day that I wake up and I'm not directing or I'm not writing something, I'm like, oh, man, like,
Yeah,
what we got to get through today.
I know. Like the autopilotness of it.
Yeah. And again, like life has just things that you got to do. Today, I got to clean the car and get the groceries. So, you know,
Guess I'll
the
use
film
that in
has
my
got
next
away.
scene. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Or, you know, explore life deeper to get to the next writing. Man, that's amazing though. I love that you got so much out of it and that you're like still energized. Like the heartbreak didn't get you enough. Like you're still energized to do more, but do, you know, write what you love, like you said. Like just kind of check in with yourself and just see, like, is this giving me joy? Okay, I'm gonna keep writing it. But if you're doing it for this external validation, you're not doing it anymore. So that's like a really cool place to be, I think.
Yeah. Well, again, it's like up against the ropes. Are you going to defend it or are you not? You know, and, you know, you're going to get knocked down. You're going to get knocked out. You're going to get destroyed. You're going to get put in the hospital, you know.
Dang.
And if you want to like wake up and like do it again, then it's worth it and do it.
Were you ever a fighter?
I did train for a little bit, but I was never a fighter. No, I was a very bad fighter. You
Okay.
know? But I had, no, not really. I was just,
You've done a lot of
I learned a few
research then.
things.
But you said you just got to be willing to accept.
Oh, you just got to be willing to accept that it's going to hurt. You know, like it's going to hurt. It's not, it doesn't, you know, going back to the training for the heavyweight fight, like getting into the gym. I mean, you know, like it doesn't feel good when you're there. You're not like, oh, this is awesome. I love, you know, lifting or whatever it is that you're doing. Like, you know, it feels good afterwards when you've done it, you've accomplished that. But like when you're going through it, it's not awesome, you know. And it's the same thing with, again, I think creativity, like one of the reasons why like I want those like Nike commercials for artists is because I think there is this, at least maybe it's changed a little bit, but like when I was a kid, it was very much like you wait for the inspiration to strike and then you do whatever it is that you want to do. And it's like, that is not at all how it works. Like, you know, there are a lot of books you can read on everything, you know, and how to write or act or direct or whatever. And like, yeah, read those books. Those are good. But there are a few books that like you need to read. And one of them specifically is The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield, you know, where he just talks about like the professionalism of like getting to the desk and getting to the keyboard and like doing that work, you know, that is like, you know, of if anything is in your tool set that needs to be the most used tool, like the bluntest tool because you're using it all the time, it is tenacity. It is like, just keep doing it. Just keep doing it, you know, and don't give up. Like, it's not determination as much as it is like the willingness to get up and do it again and get up and do it again, you know, because like, most answers to all your questions about how did I do this or like it's really like I don't know. Like I didn't have an answer when I woke up in the morning and somehow during the day we figured it out and that was that. But it was like we're going to do this. So there was always that mindset of like we're going to do it. You know, when you're not waiting for it to happen, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing. Mark Duplass's, we all saw, that's the South by Southwest, the cavalry isn't coming speech that he gave. Like, that thing is like gold. Everybody needs to watch it. Go watch it again.
I'll put
Turn
the
this
link.
off and go watch that.
Yeah, I'll put the link in the description. No, I get it. Yep. And it's interesting because even if you're a writer, I was going to ask you advice, but you just gave it to us, so that's perfect. Because even if you're like a writer or an actor or a photographer or whatever, or you want to be and you're really young, but you can't bring yourself to, like, I don't know, do it because of whatever reason, doubt, or you think it's not possible for you, and so you don't step into your creativity. One of the things that I did when I was young was I trained for like cross country and then track, and then I did yoga, and then I saw how I could like physically improve within like a year's time, going from like being shit to like winning competitions, you know. And I was like, wow, if I can do this and this, I can do it in anything. And so it's just putting your mind to it. Do you have any advice for like when your younger self, when you were like 16, 17, 18?
Oh God, Megan. Do I have any advice for my younger 16, 17-year-old? Well, that's a very specific answer. Do you want my 16 or 17-year-old self?
Yeah, like what would you tell them? Because like going back, like I was just thinking about mine. I was like, because I was always super creative, but my parents did not support it. Same as you. Like my people didn't believe in it. And so I kind of just like pushed it to the side until I realized that I could get better at something. And then I was like, if I can get better at this thing, I can probably do this other thing too. And then I just started to like apply myself on like a, you know, daily basis or whatever it was that I was doing. So that would be my advice for my younger self, is like, just if you're not confident enough to try what you really want to do, get better at something else so that you can at least tell your brain, I can get better at what I want to do, which is kind of backwards. But what would you?
Yeah, I mean, I guess depending on the day, you're probably going to get a different answer from me. But I think today, what I would say is like, find your champions. Like, find your champions. Find the people find those people that are doing great things that you love and then who love you back. You know, like, surround yourself with those. Find your champions, because like, you know, and it's not so much that like, it's not that my family didn't support it. It's that there's just sort of like, there's a disconnect there, you know, because people are different. Like people have different value systems and different understandings, different points of view. And that's okay, you know, but where it becomes a problem is where you're going for the well with no water in it. And you're just like, this isn't working. Like, I keep going back, but there's nothing in here for me, you know? And that's just sometimes the way it is. Like, and you got to make peace with that quickly. You know, you can't hold on to that. And I have made the mistake and continue to make the mistake of holding on to it. It's not easy to let that go. You have to learn to see it, and then you have to learn to like, okay, this thing, you know, is this, and I can love it for what it is. But like, these are my champions, you know, and I want to be their champion, you know. And I would say that to my like 16 or 17-year-old self, because I was looking in all the wrong places for validation and for understanding and to be seen and heard, be understood, because I didn't understand what was going on myself. Like, I was very conflicted and very lost, and I felt very, very, very disconnected from the world, you know, as a 16 and 17-year-old, you know, young guy, you know, in upstate New York. Like, you know, but like, it wasn't really until I moved to the city and then even coming out here and getting sober, that's when I started meeting my champions. You know, I started meeting people that like really, really got behind me and like they supported me, and that was a fucking game changer.
Wow. We definitely need to do a part 2 with Joe, because he has a lot to give, and he just told me that he wants to teach young people how to follow their creative dreams. So stay tuned for that. If you guys like this video, if it did something for you, send it to a friend and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. That was Joe Marconi. I'm your host, Megan A Tully, and this has been Is There More? Thanks for listening.